Time is money.
Mm.
There's probably a lot more, but I think that's a huge misconception. Time is much more valuable than money. You can always make more money, but you cannot make more time. Information without implementation cannot change your situation. I think it's very, very, very important to understand who you are, where you stand, and that you are the value. Many people don't know themselves. You're looking for approval from people who don't approve of their damn selves.
What's your current season teaching you?
Ooh, my current season is teaching me that nothing matters but me and God. Like, first of all, God is the standard, right?
A lie you had to unlearn.
Ooh, there's so many. Um, let's see. A lie that I had to unlearn, that women can't be powerful in business. You know, we can allow our kids to do great things if we give our kids great things to do. Like, I have a saying that my coach gave me, be where your feet are. And sometimes I have to remind myself, what is happening right now where I'm standing? We're always so far in the future, which causes us to be anxious, or we're so far in the past, which causes us to be sad or regretful or depressed, right? It takes a certain kind of person to fail over and over again and say, I'm not going to stop, I'm going to keep going. I was so great at what I did in corporate that in business that I would also be successful. And business is a completely different animal than corporate.
I think most people they're scared of success, actually, because they're like, well, what will my life look like? What will I have to change? What will I have to stop doing? What would I have to become to be successful?
Ooh, you
think
say the whole word.
Yeah, I think that's what scares a lot of people. It's like, who do I have to become to be successful?
You're going to take a L, not a loss. You're going to take a lesson. It's feedback. And not only are you setting a trend, you are the trend.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You heard she said it. I didn't say it.
Right here today, you are the trend. Words of encouragement. Tap in.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Mr. Made Different, and this is the Words of Encouragement podcast, where we talk faith, purpose, and becoming everything God designed you to be. Let's get into it.
All right, welcome to another Words of Encouragement podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Made Different. Today, I got a special guest, first female guest of the podcast. I'm excited, super excited for that. Today's guest is somebody who doesn't just coach leaders, she transforms them. She's the chief life officer and a powerhouse C-suite coach who helps high-level executives move from being busy to being aligned, from scaling revenue to actually scaling their lives. With a track record that stretches from Tampa to global platforms like Mind Valley, she's guided top performers out of burnout and back into purpose. Her mission is simple but powerful: to help leaders win in business without losing themselves in the process. Family, faith, and fulfillment aren't side notes in her coaching. They're the foundation. I'm excited for you to hear her wisdom and practical tools. Help me welcome Debra Evans to the podcast. Debra, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. This is a pleasure, and I'm honored to be the first woman on the show. That means a lot.
My wife was kind of the first. We did a live, I guess, back in February called "Why Did I Get Married?" And we're just giving marriage tips, but it's like the first official, pre-recorded episode where we're doing it that way. So I'm excited.
Okay, I'll take second to be different any day. I'm here for it.
Yes, I appreciate it. So to give us a bit about your background, how you grew up, where'd you grew up, and just what kind of led you into being a coach.
Well, that's an interesting story. I grew up in Brooklyn, actually, and then moved to Florida when I was in my 20s. Spent a lot of time in Miami, and then ended up here in Tampa, where the rest of my family resides, my parents and what have you. But I have been in financial services for like 20 years. I work with a Fortune 500 company, and I work with high income clients. And after doing that for like 20 years in the corporate realm, I decided that I wanted to step out and do something on my own. I never thought I would end up in coaching, of all things. I didn't even really know what a life coach was or anything like that. But as I stepped out and started my own wealth management firm, and just to say, I was doing taxes in the corporate field as a philanthropy project with the company I was working with alongside H&R Block. And we would go out into the community and do taxes for free for low to moderate income families. And I did that for about 15 years. a friend of mine came to me and said he wanted to be the black H&R Block, right? So he wanted to start tax offices all over the country, and I felt like it was a no-brainer. We eventually parted ways because he franchised, and I decided that I wanted to remain, out on my own. So
Yeah.
I started this wealth management firm, and I thought, as someone that deals primarily with entrepreneurs, what could I add to my services, to my suite of services that would really help them? So that's really how the wealth management firm grew. We started out doing taxes. Then I realized entrepreneurs don't have their books together. So I did accounting and bookkeeping. And then, once we scaled them to start making more money, like, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
now they're not keeping them, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, even seven figures sometimes, but there's nothing left over at the end of the day. So then we started doing estate planning and trust and all of that stuff, and then insurance and different tactics to help them keep their money. But at the end of the day, the coaching came in because I realized that a lot of the clients, including myself, I had to learn the hard way, didn't have money problems. We had mindset problems, right? So Mind Valley was giving a whole day event around mindset. My daughter and I, who is actually my business partner, um, sat in on this event, and I just fell in love with everything they said. It had everything to do with mindset and breathing and, somatics and just everything to do with how to focus and to be intentional about the way you live your life and the way you spend your money and all the things. So it was different for me. I had never heard anything like that. So I got on, and they had an offer at the end of the call. My daughter and I both took it. We didn't realize at the time it was to be life coaches.
Yeah.
We took the certification, we finished the certification, and while we were in that certification, and I don't know if you're familiar with Mind Valley, that is a huge organization, learning platform. It's global.
I've heard of it, but not too familiar.
Yeah, it's one of the largest learning platforms in the world. So it's a global company. And while we were in the certification program, I realized that a lot of people were actually preparing to build their life coaching business, but knew nothing about business. So I was
Mm.
really doing it for my own personal reasons. And then
Yeah.
once, because I believe in, you know, giving from a place of knowledge and experiential knowledge,
Yeah.
like from a place of knowing, not just a knowledge base, right? Because people will learn something and go try to teach it. I want to learn it and live it and then go ahead and share
Yeah.
that value, right?
Okay.
Um, yeah. So once we got into the program, people were building these businesses, but they were getting stressed out because they didn't know anything about business. So my daughter and I started a global coaching program called the business side of coaching. And so we would teach them all about taxes, all about setting up their entities, how to build a foundation, like the business side of it, which nobody thinks about. They just think I have a certification. I'm going to pull a few people off the street. I'm going to sit you down and start telling you, how to think about your life and what have you.
Okay.
So that's really where the coaching started. And then out of nowhere, Mind Valley started a very high level chief life officer program where they were pulling in like athletes and entertainers, and they were doing it as a beta program. And they pulled 30 out of 3,000 of those certified coaches to be part of that beta program. And so I was one of the coaches that was chosen, and praying for a global practice. That's how my practice became
Wow.
global,
Wow.
because the people that I took on from that particular blessing, they never left me. So that I didn't even see that coming, but that's like what we were talking about earlier. That's what it
Yeah.
means to be in alignment, right?
Yeah.
To
Divine
be in
alignment.
alignment.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. God take you from one place, put you here. Well, I mean, what was it like, not having the same vision as your partner back in the day? Like, I know you said he franchised. What was it like not having that same vision to do franchising versus doing it for yourself?
Well, he wasn't really my partner. So just to let you know, this was not my first business. This is my second business. And my first business, my daughter and I had an app in the App Store, and it was all about natural hair and all that good stuff. And it didn't go well, right? Because my thing was, I am like in corporate, I'm going up the corporate ladder, I'm having no problem, I'm knocking this thing down like easy peasy. So if I do a business, then it's going to rise up, it's going to be great, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, no. the business swept the floor with me. Okay, it was not pretty. So the first business I was doing, had the app with his wife. She was also a business owner, and they had a conference in Miami. So what happened was, as we were going to lunch, we were out in the courtyard speaking. He had worked for Wells Fargo. Again, I had been in finance all my life, so we just start chopping it up about banking. And he's like, "Well, what I plan to do, I'm going to be the next H&R Block, because they're not really, they're not the best thing for our community. I think that I could offer so much more and all these things." And I love what he was saying. And so I said, when you get ready to start your business, when you get ready to do this thing, which was just a few months out, I said, call me up, because he had a very cost effective buy-in price, right? And at this point, it wasn't a franchise. He actually got 5,000 people to sign up with him to start tax offices all over the country. So at this point, he was just opening tax offices under his own license. But after a year in, he decided he wanted to be a franchise. And we had already started the wealth management firm. We had started building a name for ourselves, getting clients. So I think that kind of, the group of 5,000 split like the Red Sea. Like half of them went with him with the franchising, because you have to be in compliance. There are certain things you have to do. You have to keep the company name. There are certain standards set for the franchise, but some people really wanted to do their own thing. And at that time, he was just doing taxes, and we had a full blown wealth management firm by then.
Okay. Okay.
So he wasn't necessarily my business partner, but he was definitely the person that pulled me in. And had I not been doing taxes with the company that I was working with previously in H&R Block for 15 years for free, for me it was a no-brainer. So had I not just stepped into that, it probably would have been a very different story. But I decided I wanted to retire at 50, and so it was music to my ears, this opportunity.
Got you. Got you. Got you. Okay. So you a C-suite life coach, right? What does that mean, and why do leaders need one?
Good question. Well, and just to let you know, like, I do not only service C-suite clients. A lot of the C-suite clients that I came on board with business coaching, I brought on board, came through that Mind Valley platform, that very high level coaching program that they picked the 30 out of the 3,000. And so it was something that I had to find my way through. But because the company I worked with, again, I worked with high income earners, you had to have 10 million to be able to even, like, speak to the team that I was on at the time, the US Trust team that I worked with. I was familiar. So when I started coaching, doing the business coaching and coaching these C-suite individuals, the thing with them is that they tend to not look at business in a holistic way. Like, I think that to be a great CEO, like, great, the business has to run. We have to take care of business. We have to be a great leader, but we also have to take great care of ourselves. Like, we have to make sure that we are doing for ourselves, because you can run, run, run. You can do all the things. You can be at every meeting, but if you're not taking time, if you're not getting the right amount of sleep, if you're not eating well, if you're not taking care of your body, if you're not hydrating and drinking your water, if you're not, for me, meditating and praying and all of those things, then there's an imbalance there, and that still shows through your work. And I find that a lot of them, even though they're very successful, they were still lacking in some of those areas, just simple things, just slowing down, like they couldn't slow down. And that brought a lot of healing to people in a way that it made them a better person, which ultimately made them a better leader. And also being able to hand off tasks. Like, some leaders are very like, not want to say controlling, but they feel like nobody can do this better than I can. So
Yeah.
delegation is huge. You have to
Yeah.
be able to let go of some things. You have to be able to give people an opportunity to shine. Your team, it's the power of the team.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. As somebody that runs a small business myself, and that's done a lot, most of the work myself, I definitely understand. It could drive you into the ground. Just, I paint for a living. So painting houses, like, I was doing a lot of work myself. Even when I had, people that I would bring on from time to time is like, you can't quite do it like me, so let me just move out my way, let me do it. So
Exactly.
until I
And some
started
of those
using
mentors.
subs and getting people that I could trust that probably have more skin in the game or, whatever it is to just help and take the load off and then critique what they did so they could correct it. Um, you know, that part was, I had to learn that. I didn't have a coach, I didn't have anybody teaching me. I just learned it based on seeing my father, how he operated, and then how I was operating same way. I was like, let me change a little bit because want to do what he did, he's still doing stuff himself, and I'm just like, "You're doing too much." But that's
Mhm.
that's amazing. That's amazing. So you've coached leaders at the top of the industry. What patterns do you see when someone is successful but stuck? Like what? I know you said that they're doing everything themselves. Like, what are the patterns between those things? Like,
Well, some of the patterns I would see, like I said, lack of sleep is one, right? And that definitely interferes with your performance. And while they don't want to delegate, they do have teams, but they're still micromanaging in some cases, which is not a good thing for the leader. It's not a good thing for the team, right? Then we also have just feeling like you have to show up a certain way for your team. And I feel that being human in business, business for me is all about relationships. Everything is about relationships. It's relationships with your employees, it's relationship with your partners, relationship with your spouse, your kids, and ultimately the relationship with yourself and with God. So everything boils down to relationships. And if you're not a person, if you're just the person cracking the whip and you're not relatable and you're not someone that your team can sit down and speak to and be honest with, that if they can't relate to you, then that's a problem in itself. So I think just kind of loosening up and being a little more authentic, which is the highest frequency, even higher than love, right? Authenticity.
yeah,
Being authentic is huge. But the problem is that a lot of people have a hard time being authentic because many people don't know themselves.
mm,
So that's a whole other podcast right there, okay?
yeah, yeah,
A lot of people just don't know who they are. So taking time to roll that back. Like I wear a lot of hats. What you said in the beginning was a great introduction. I loved it, but there's so many other layers. And so I'm also NLP practitioner and NSD, like neurosomatics. And so I love focusing on the brain and how things work and why people do things the way they do and self-awareness
yeah.
and that space. And so there's a lot of that goes into play as well. Just really being able to be yourself and also diversity and inclusion. There's a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of skills when you bring people in from all different backgrounds, different ages. There could be some flexibility there. Sometimes there's not as much as there needs to be. And now I think with AI, that may even there may even be less, right? Because we go ditch the whole team for a couple of bots, right? So we don't know where that's going, but these are some of the patterns that I saw, and then also limiting beliefs. And limiting beliefs, we don't know. Sometimes it's from your childhood, the way you grew up, limiting beliefs about money, not exceeding a certain threshold. If you shooting for $1 million, like, even Lisa Nichols talks about, she always wanted to make $1 million, but every year she would stop right around 999,000. She was always finding herself button up against that number because there are even limiting beliefs about going over that number. Who will I be? Like, how will I be received? Will people see me the same? So just being in touch with yourself and really understanding who you are and what you believe, where those beliefs came from, why you believe those things. It's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's something I'm a natural empath. I'm very self aware. Um, Sometimes too self aware, to be honest.
Can you be
So
too self-aware, Frankie?
sometimes in the moment, I think, maybe not overall, but sometimes you're in the moment of doing something and oh, I made a mistake, and you like trying to, you know, catch yourself from not making the mistake instead of just pushing through the mistake. So I think that's for me is where it's like, especially in social settings, I feel like I'm too self-aware. I feel like I'm aware of too many things going on around me, and I just need to be sometimes. Um, so that's my little thing. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
We're all a work in progress, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. So you said that and you said a lot, man. There's so much. I feel like I'm in a therapy session, to be honest with you.
People tend to tell me that. People tend to tell me
Nah,
that.
you say a lot where I can resonate with it so much, I see myself in what you're saying because you said that people like right now I use AI to edit videos and where I used to have to do it myself or try to get somebody on Fiverr to do it or I'm using a lot of that. So it's kind of taking the human touch out of it. And I use, diversity. I work with a lot of Mexicans to get stuff done. Try to be included in what they're doing and learning. I don't know any Spanish, but we communicate on some level where we just kind of understand each other,
Love that.
Because I'm from the island, so I'm not even from America, so I just coming here is like diversity in itself.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I've had people that were Russian that taught me a few words in Russian. I can't remember them now, but they taught me Russian. So yeah, I've worked with a lot of people where it's just a human aspect. People like to say money is a language, but it's like it's not even really money. It's just friendship. It's like love. It's like a certain language where you just can't, comprehend why he barely speak English. I speak English. I don't speak no Spanish, but we understand each other. Yeah.
Love is a mutual, like it's universal language, right?
Yeah.
And if you really are building relationship, right, with people, like a lot of my clients, they don't like sales. And I'm like, you should never have to sell anything. You should never have to sell anything. It's just a conversation about the value that you offer. And either they're smart, your clients are smart, either they want it or they don't. It's not convincing, it's not pressuring, it's just a conversation. And if you have added value and there's relationship, you've built rapport, then it's just a conversation. Either they do or they don't. Like, tell me yes or tell me no. Tell me now, I gotta go. One of my coaches used to always say, just let
That's
me know,
good.
right? Don't waste none of my time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's
That's
just that
good.
simple. And I think that a lot of times in business, even in our personal lives, that we just make things harder than they have to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I never liked sales personally. But I did it, push myself. When I go into a client's house to paint their house, I just tell them, I try to educate them on the process and, get them the price. And, they want it, they want it. If they don't, I keep it pushing on to the next.
You said the magic word. You educate them. That's it. That's the value. Educate, educate, educate. That's one of the foundations of our business. And working with taxes, people they're first to tell you, I don't know anything about taxes. I don't know here. My tax professional last year just gave me this. He didn't tell me what it was, what it wasn't. He just said, this is what I owe and I paid it and that's it. I don't know what any of this is about. And so I'm like, well, that might be how you come into us, but that's not how you gonna leave. Okay, you gonna
Yeah.
understand your taxes this year, okay?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's a must. And I think that anything that we're not aware of, anything that we don't understand, like we can't control. So if you don't understand your taxes, then you don't understand your money. And if you're a business owner and you don't understand your money, then that's the lifeline of your business. What are we really doing here? Like make it make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I see
Yeah.
that. There's still things that in business I just don't know. Still learning, and the continued education of learning what I don't know. Like, you
And the
never
more
know. You don't know what you
you don't know what you don't know, right?
exactly,
And the
exactly.
more you learn, the more you realize that how much you don't know.
Yeah,
That part, because I'm always learning and I love a good coach. I love a mentor. There was a time that was a big learning, that's a big lesson for me in business that, because I was so great at what I did in corporate, that in business that I would also be successful. And business is a completely different animal than corporate. Completely different animal. And at first I thought, I'm a smart girl. I can learn these things, trying to do all the YouTube videos and watching lunch and learns on Instagram. No. When you invest in yourself, then that's when you will get the real value. And so when I started investing in coaches and mentors, then I started to realize like, okay, I get it. They're going to tell you the what and the why on these free webinars, but they're never going to tell you the how. You're going to have to pay
yeah,
for that how.
yeah,
And when I
Yeah,
started paying for the how, it made all the difference in my business.
yeah. It's, they say that they give the education for free, but the implementation you have to pay for. So,
And
um,
everybody's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, you dropping gems, knowledge is power." Well,
yeah,
information without, implementation cannot change your situation, okay?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just that simple. If you don't apply it, like, it's all about results, results for your customers, results for yourself, and finishing what you started. A lot of people have a problem with finishing, but that again is a mindset, it's a limiting belief, and that's why we keep this open loop, because you build confidence within yourself based on the things that you finish. Even if you finish and it's not what you thought it was going to be, you're going to take a L, not a loss. You're going to take a lesson. It's feedback. It's this, it's learn every way it's not going to work until it works, right? You focus on you until the focus is you. You just got to keep doing what you got to do. Like, it's nobody said it's gonna be easy. It's simple, it's not easy, and failure is feedback, and that again, in business, failure is feedback. In corporate, failure might mean you gonna lose your job. It's completely different.
yeah,
Yeah, you can't have too much failure in corporate, like, why you not meeting these numbers, right?
yeah. Exactly, exactly. Yeah. So for me, I think I'm not afraid of failure. I've failed numerous times in my life. When I was in school, I used to get some of the worst
You and me both.
grades. You know. But it just I keep trying, So I think my biggest thing is why I haven't reached the place that I want to reach is my fear of actual success. Like you said, finishing. I have a problem with finishing. I'll start something here, start something here, start something here. Now I got 10 things I'm doing. And it's like I'll finish maybe three of those things. Um, and I think my biggest thing was just, success. Like I wasn't scared of failure, I was scared of the actual success out of it. Um
What scares you about success?
At the time, not now so much, but at the time, probably damaging myself, I would say. If I get everything I wanted when I was younger, I'll probably destroy myself. I'm not even gonna lie to you. This is real. Like you see these football players or basketball players that get so much money early on, and if you don't have certain disciplines, and I didn't have the certain disciplines, I would destroy myself. From drugs to alcohol to parties, whatever. All of that, all the temptations, but as of late, since my daughter was born, I went started going back to church and I was like, man, like this is the thing I've been missing. I was out there searching for all kind of things that didn't fulfill me, but this is the relationship with God is what I was missing. And in that
Mm,
relationship with God is kind of start building who I actually am. Like I always say, the man who I want to be is different from the man God want me to be. Those are two
mm,
different men, and I had to realize I had to identify that in myself. Oh, I want to be like Snoop Dogg, smoke a lot of weed and do all these things, and, you know, but it's like that's not really who God called me to be. So when I started being obedient to who God called me to be, things started turning, the wheels started turning. I'm sitting out here with people like yourself, and it's just amazing to see what He's doing in my life. I
mm.
could never fathom that. You know what I mean? So now if I get the success today, it won't be the same as if I had got it back then. So I think that's why I just try so many things because I'm like, oh, okay, let me try this, let me try that. I'll fail a little bit, fail here, get a little success, and be like, let me try something else. So I
I
think a
love
lot of people are not scared of failure because failure is the part of the process. I think it's just part of the process anyway.
It
So
so is. You got that right. You can't say that enough, and people think, "I failed, it's over, it didn't work, that's it." No. That's
I
not a
think,
stop sign.
yeah, I think most people they're scared of success actually because they're like, well, what will my life look like? What will I have to change? What will I have to stop doing? What would I have to become to be successful? And
Ooh,
I
you
think
saying the whole
that
word.
yeah, I think that's what scares a lot of people is like, who do I have to become to be successful? Because every time I envision myself as the person that, okay, God's called me to be this person, great podcaster. Okay, to be a great podcaster, I have to come out my comfort zone. I have to interview people. I have to ask questions. I have to, so like, who do I have to become? And you have to you have to see yourself and then work in reverse almost. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And you said a whole word there because so many people like you said, maybe they're scared of who they have to become, but that's the whole key. First of all, God is the standard, right? Like He's going to give us and provide for us in ways like we could never think or imagine. But he created us in his image, right? So everything that he is, we have that within us. That seed of creativity, the gifts that are going to make room for us, like, like where our names are going to be mentioned in rooms that we could never enter into, all of these things. And we have a concept here, be do have. People want to see you and have the things you have, but they didn't do the things you need. They don't even know half of the things you did to get to
Yeah.
where you are, right? Just like we talking about failure and how many times we had to fall and get back up, brush ourselves off and go at it again. The failure being the feedback, taking lessons instead of losses, right? Understanding that this is part of the process. But it's not just doing what you had to do to get to where you are, but you had to become the person to do that thing,
Yeah.
because it takes a certain kind of person to fail over and over again and say, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. Most businesses fail within the first 5 years, right? So I have to be very happy to say we started in 2018. We still here. We're going on 10 years. And, I'm a serial
Congratulations.
entrepreneur. So I
Yeah.
have many businesses now, right? And I couldn't even imagine that. And I just woke up one day and said, I want to retire at 50 because I saw my parents work till they were older. And I saw so many people work till they were 60, 70 and pushing it to get to the full Social Security payout. That's a whole joke.
Yeah.
But then they stop working and then they pass away. Or they go, I knew one lady who worked till she was 80 and it's like, I'm going to go on this cruise when I retire. Do you know she passed away on the cruise? She passed away on a cruise. She worked for the same company I worked for 45 years. And we kept saying, when are you retiring? Nah, when I turn 80 and I'm going to take my cruise. She passed away on the cruise. That's not going to be my life. So I just made up my mind, but that be do have, like you have to be the person to do the things, because you can say, I can do these things all day long, but when it's time to actually do the work, no, it takes a certain kind of person. It takes a certain type of consistency and, dedication and commitment to do the
Yeah.
things, right? And to do them with excellence, to do them in a way in which people want to patronize your business. They want to give you referrals. You know, they want to be with you. They want to be loyal to you. Like the clients I have, I've had them since 2018. Like they haven't
Yeah.
gone anywhere. And they're telling me I'm not going anywhere. My daughter is always telling me, who's my business partner. She's like, you don't have clients, you have friends, you have family. Like they're all your family. And I feel like they're family
Yeah.
because I have that love for them. And I started my wealth management from some of the strategic partnerships I set up. The attorney that I brought on board to do the wills and trust and estate planning is the attorney that did me and my family's trust and estate planning. Before I got my insurance license, the insurance agent that I brought on board to write policies for tax strategy and wealth building, because insurance is not just for when you die, but it is for wealth building, is my insurance agent who wrote my policies, my family's policies. So I'm not just pulling people off the street. These people are vetted and they're the people that I use in my own personal life. And I think that's so important.
Wow. 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 That's
Mhm.
good. Relationships. I've been
Relationships.
invited to a few Thanksgiving from some of my clients. They were like, I painted the house. They were like, "You gonna come over for Thanksgiving?" I'm like, I might, but that's cool, man. That's cool. A lot of leaders are burnt out and still moving. How do you help them slow down without losing momentum?
Ooh. How do I help them slow down without losing momentum? Well, I get them back in touch with themselves first and foremost, because it's easy to lose yourself in the pace of business and reaching the numbers, and the quarters are going by and you're trying to, make sure that you're doing better this quarter than you did last quarter. So I take them out of the business and bring them back to self in ways where they can sit with themselves and really think about what they want. Because a lot of business owners, while we're in business and our businesses are successful, it's not always what we dreamt of. Wasn't always the dream or the life that we desired. So sometimes it just looks like taking a vacation, stepping away for a while. Sometimes it looks like reconnecting with family, because a lot of times business owners spend so much time building the business that it really affects their families and their relationships in a negative way. And when some of the C-suite executives that I've dealt with get to that level, it really is you're kind of making a choice. Am I going to really you gonna miss some baseball games. You're gonna miss some, you know, ballet recitals. Um, so there's choices to be made. And so I think in helping them to find a balance in that space and to really be intentional, because nothing's going to happen without the intention. You have to be intentional. That time may have to be scheduled in. Those vacations may have to be scheduled in, making sure that you're finding the right people to delegate to so that if you do need to step away, that you're not on a beach in Mexico on your phone checking in every 5 minutes to make sure that things are being done and done correctly. So just setting up the infrastructure. And now, like you said, with AI, I'm not a person that's against AI. I love AI. We are actually launching an AI agency last September. So this last quarter, that's our main focus, building our team for that. And now that's going to help a lot more because there's a lot less people to manage. I don't think that, you know, I don't think like everything should be AI. I think it should be used as the resource and the tool that it is, to help implement some things and to help you to move faster and to reclaim some of your time again so you can get back to family and those relationships that mean so much. And that's when that burnout starts to decrease. And then we also have to be aware of our mindset, right? Because the only thing that really matters is this present moment. And most business owners are moving so fast all the time, and most people in their personal lives really, that we're not experiencing the present moment. Like I have a saying that my coach gave me, be where your feet are. And I sometimes I have to remind myself what is happening right now where I'm standing. I'm not thinking about next week. I'm not thinking about the customers that need to get their taxes filed by the deadline on the 15th. I'm not thinking about yesterday, the things I should have done that I didn't get done. We're always so far in the future, which causes us to be anxious, or we're so far in the past, which causes us to be sad or regretful or depressed,
Mm,
right? But
mm.
how often are we here in this very moment? Eckhart Tolle has a book called The Power of Now, which speaks very eloquently to this. Also, Jordan Williams has a book called The Secrets of Self-Awareness. Both of those books are amazing, speaking about being in the present moment because you're worried about the future, but the truth of the matter is the future is now. And when I really get them to grasp that, because right now, the reality that you're living in, if you look around and you don't like what you see, this is a result of what you thought about in your present moments remembered. All those moments that have passed, the things you were thinking about and talking about and working on produce what you see today. If you don't like it, then you know what? You gotta think a new thing. You have to think about what you can do in this present moment. What can you do right now today that's going to make a difference in your future? And this is some of the things that I work with them on, help them to stay present and to really see like what are we doing right now and how is this going to affect the future?
I got so many comments, but I'm gonna respect your time. I'm gonna respect your
But I want
time.
to hear your comments too.
Well, for me, I think like I practice like I've had so many times where I burnt out this year. Because for me, this year is like a transition year. You know, I went from one daughter to wife being pregnant again to going get a job at a hospital to paint to doing that from December to May when my wife gave birth. Um, being in that process, like transitioning from being full time entrepreneur, you know, I set my own schedule to going to work for a company to now being anxious about leaving the company because like, I've been getting a steady check. It's not enough, but it's steady to being a full support for my wife to, just trying to juggle these things, but still trying to make sure the bills get paid and being present for the kids, doing the podcast. So it's like I'm doing a lot, you know? And I found myself burning out maybe every 3 months. I was like pushing out content and I was just like, stop. Out of nowhere, I'll just stop. I'm like, I'm burnt out. And not till recent, I started using, like you said, the AI. I started using it a little more to just kind of help. Okay, let me schedule out my content. This one episode can give me 10 clips, whatever, put it out, every
Opus
day.
clip.
Yeah, Opus Clip. Like,
Opus clip all
and
day.
that it helps, you know what I mean? So just finding these little things where I could tweak while I feel like, "Oh, okay, I'm doing too much. Let me slow down and be present for, the little moments and not just be on my
Mhm.
phone all the time when I'm with my kids." all these things. Yeah. So, and I was speaking to somebody, they was like, "You get burnt out every 3 months. People usually burn out every 5 years." I was like, I was like,
Mm-mm.
"Hey,
Not when you're
it's not."
really building something, and you did say, like, the podcast is something that you're now transitioning into, this
Yeah,
is a new thing, and yeah, so you have a lot of news in your life, so
yeah.
it could be easy and then, new babies, you don't get a lot of sleep.
You don't get a lot of sleep.
It's my daughter's my business partner now, but I did not forget, what it was like when I brought her home from the hospital. Yeah, you don't get much sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
So that part too.
When you called me yesterday, I was at the aquarium. My wife, it was a birthday, and I had to just, I was like, "Oh, I was trying to get to send you the link real quick." I'm like, "I'll do it when I get home. Don't be, she'll get it
Exactly.
when she get it." Like,
And
it's
I
gonna
love
work
that
out.
because you were like, "I'm out with the wife and kids," and I
Yeah,
was like, "I love that. I
yeah,
love that." And those are the things that your kids will remember. People think, "Oh, if I can't get them the iPad or the newest thing or the Jordans or whatever it is that they want," at the end of the day, they don't remember that stuff. They remember the moments. They remember the good times and the time you spent with them and what you did with them and the relationship they had with you. So it's so important. And now's the time to do that. My daughter and I also deal with a lot of, we coach a lot of moms and daughters because we are so close. We are very, very close. We're best friends. We're business partners. And people are like, how did you create this relationship with her? Like my daughter comes in from school, my daughter doesn't think I'm cool. She doesn't want to speak to me. She can't wait till she graduates to leave for
yeah,
college. She walks through the door, doesn't say hi, goes up to the room, closes the door. And I'm like, "Ooh." But, it's not when they're teenagers, because as they get older, they're gonna get their own thing. They're gonna have their own thing, their own friends. They're gonna wanna do their own thing. So while they're young, like I said, if they come over to you and say, "Hey, look at what I drew," or "Let me show you something," or "Can I read to you?" Even if you're a business owner and you're busy, I get that. But even if you say, "Not right now, but let me just finish what I'm doing, and then I'm gonna come sit with you. Give me an hour. Give me 15 minutes." But don't just blow it off. "No, I can't do that right now." They remember that stuff. More is caught than taught.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I see it with my daughter all the time, man. I see with her all the time. So I'm like, I gotta be mindful of, you know, the time I spend with her. And I prayed for kids. I thought I couldn't have kids at one point. So I prayed for that. I don't want to just neglect it just because I'm trying to build something. That's not what I'm building is not that important. You know what I mean? Like her, setting the foundation for her is the most important thing. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Well, there are 2 things I'm gonna say to that. First and foremost, one of them is that I think that as a business owner, you should definitely bring your kids into the business, like whatever you're doing. Like if your wife's doing leadership, if you're doing podcasts, if you're using AI, show her how to use AI. Like I have my nieces and nephews now, because eventually they're gonna be working for the
Yeah.
AI agency that we just put up. They're teenagers, like y'all spending too much time doing nothing. We gonna make some money.
Yeah.
Let's instead of you trying to go to McDonald's for a job, yeah, you can do this. This is too easy. So bring them in because family generational wealth comes from, families doing business together. It's important. And no matter how young they are, you can bring them in. And it would behoove me not to say, if your kids work for you, that is a tax write off. That is a
Yeah.
deduction to your business. You having family dinners, if your kids are working for you now, that's a tax write-off because you're having a family dinner, but you're talking about things that have to do with business. So it's a lifestyle. It's a whole different thing. So I love that aspect of it, bringing the kids in because then it's also quality time while you're teaching them a skill that's going to feed them forever. And it's also going to help your business grow, right? Because they can bring things to your business that you could never think of because you're not their age. And I don't care what age they are. They can be 4 and they can come up, they can do something,
Yeah. Yeah.
that can
Right. Right.
add a little spice to your business.
Yeah.
um, yeah, and then that other thing is just, never we can we can allow our kids to do great things if we give our kids great things to do.
Mm,
We just pull back and say they're too young for that. They're not ready for that. They're never going to be able to do this. But sometimes we just have to let go of the leash, unleash them, let them do whatever it is that they want to do and see what they come back with. Sometimes they'll surprise us.
yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely taking that advice, man. Definitely.
Yeah, you're a business owner. You need all the deductions.
Oh,
You need all the
man, I'm
deductions,
telling
okay?
you. I'm telling you. Before I get into the lightning round, I want to ask you this one question. What role has faith played in grounding you as you work with people at the highest levels?
Ooh, what everything. God is first in every aspect of my life. It's the first thing I do when I wake up and take my first breath. So I would think that just having faith that, I can do all things. Like he created me in his image so that I can do all things. People think I'm super confident and I probably am. I think confidence has a lot to do with competence, but for me first and foremost, it's the faith in God that if he brought me here, then it's for me. And again, I'm being led and I make sure that I stay in alignment. So just like the Mind Valley situation, and I feel like every time you agree, make an agreement with yourself that I'm going to leave people better than I found them, that I'm going to create and give value, I'm going to be a servant leader. I'm going to have a purpose-driven business and really serve the people and like think not of the marketplace as something that can do something for me, but from the marketplace, thinking of what these people need, what are the solutions, and I know that I can be the solution, I can be the medicine, then that's that thing. And once you think like that and you come from that perspective, with God on your side, I think you cannot go wrong. Like there's no door that won't open for you. And that's been my story.
Yeah, yeah. I could attest to that, man. Just transitioning into this podcast space is like you want to go and do the little gossip stuff, little, continue all the little trendy stuff, but I don't follow trends. I've never followed trends, and why would I start now? Like,
Why would you?
I have to know that in myself. Like you don't go on the line when something first come out. So don't do it now, Not because it's in that space, you create the trend. Because in a couple years, people are gonna be searching for stuff like this because the world is gonna look totally different. I just feel it in my heart. Like it's gonna be totally different. And people are gonna be seeking things to encourage them. And that's why I started this. And it's building slow progress, but it's instead of a trend, I'm saying a foundation for something great. So, you
I
know,
love that. I love that. And I totally agree. And not only are you setting a trend, you are the trend.
yeah, I
Right.
appreciate that. Appreciate that. You heard she said it. I didn't say it.
Right here today, you are the
Yeah.
trend. Words of
Yes.
encouragement. Come get
Yes,
some. Tap
ma'am.
in.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right, we're gonna get into the lightning round.
Mhm.
A book that changed your life.
Well, besides the Bible, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. And let me just add, um, Secrets of Self-Awareness by Coach Jordan Williams. Present moment, self-awareness, everything.
Check those out. A lie you had to unlearn.
Ooh, there's so many. Um, let's see. A lie that I had to unlearn, that women can't be powerful in business.
Mm,
Coming from a corporate space, I was the only woman in a lot of rooms. I was a VP and executive for 20 years. So there's a lot of rooms I was the only woman and woman. And then when I was the only woman, I was the only black woman. So it taught me to not feel honored to be in those spaces. I had to understand that they were honored to have me in those spaces. So
yeah.
I showed up, I showed out, and I never turned down the volume on my voice, not once. So I think that's tough for a lot of women, especially in a world that's, this is a male audience, but there are some spaces that it takes a lot for us to get through the door, and, once we get there, then sometimes you just feel like, "Okay, I should just be happy to be at the table," but I've learned a long time ago that if you're not at the table and really holding your space and saying what you have to say with your whole chest, a lot of
Yeah.
times you on the menu, so,
Mm,
yeah.
that's a word right there. I walk with a lot of confidence, but then sometimes in the back of my mind, people look at me like, "Oh, he got a lot of confidence. He's something so zen about him." And there are times I'm doubting myself in that process. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. I'm just moving. When I wanted to speak, I just went on stage and started speaking.
Mm,
People were like, "This your first time?" Like, yeah. I have this boldness about me, that looks like confidence because I would just do it. Like I said, I like to fail, so I'll try. You know what I mean? I'm a trier. I'll try it. If I fail, Imma learn and keep pushing, you know? So
Exactly.
that's good, that's good. What's
But
your, cur Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, but now you bring that up, another lie is like, that you're gonna, like to wait till you're not scared to do something. Do it
Yeah,
afraid.
yeah,
That's
do it
another lie
afraid,
I had to tell myself.
do it afraid, yeah. What's your current season teaching you?
Ooh, my current season is teaching me that nothing matters but me and God. Like, when is 1 plus 1 equals 3. It's me and God. And when you get with him, it does, that's not two. It creates something completely different. It creates everything. And, like sometimes in this world and in this life, we look for validation from outside sources. We're thinking about what other people think about us, what other people are saying about us, and trying to show up in a certain way. And with the self awareness that I am now understanding, I understand that no matter how you show up, if there's 100 people in a room, every one of those people are going to see you differently because everybody has different programming and conditioning, and they're not seeing you as who they are. They're seeing you as who you are. They're seeing you as who they are.
Mm,
Right? So if they are going, one person may love you, one person may hate you. One person may think you're pretty and one person may think you're ugly. One person may think you're the best thing since sliced bread and you may give somebody the ick. Right? So it doesn't matter how you think you want to show up, because you know what? Energy doesn't lie. And
mm,
one of my coaches would always say, like, people don't see you through your eyes the way you want them to see you. They see you. No, people don't see you through their eyes. Let me correct this. Going to quote them correctly. They don't see you through their eyes. They see you through your eyes. So however you're feeling, like you said, sometimes people look at you as being bold, but you have that self-doubt sometimes, right? Or
yeah,
you're doing something scared. Not that you're just so courageous and you got this, but you're just going to do it anyway because it's got to get done.
yeah,
You're going to do it scared. And so sometimes if you're doubting yourself and you move forward with whatever it is, while that's good to do it scared, if you maybe don't have competence in a certain area or you're doubting yourself, sometimes, energy doesn't lie. Not sometimes, all the time, energy don't lie. So people will see you through what you're feeling. They will feel that energy. And I think it's very, very, very important to understand who you are, where you stand, and that you are the value. You are the value. It doesn't matter, like, as a Black woman, I can speak to this because, a lot of women, and Black women specifically, I've been a Black woman all my life, feel like they have to prove their worth through their productivity. No, you worthy. You were worthy the day you were born. Like, if you don't do nothing else, if you just get up and take a breath, you're worthy. And so I think that's important to understand and a point not to be missed.
yes, I agree, I agree. Make my daughters watch this.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, something you're still healing from.
Ooh, something I'm still healing from. I think healing is a lifelong journey. So we're always going to be healing. But let's see. Something I'm still healing from. Hmm. I put in a lot of work, so I gotta think on this one. I've healed a lot of stuff, but I feel it's a
Yeah,
lifelong journey. So I know that the way we see the world is a reflection on ourselves, right? So if you judge or label anything, you'll never understand it. You cannot ever understand something you judge or label. So that's something that I feel like I'm still working from, because that's something that I'm learning right now on this self-awareness journey. So like if you label someone lazy or weird or irritating, I understand that everyone in this world they're either a reflection of you, of where you've been, where you've grown, where you still have healing to be done, your strengths or your weaknesses. But everybody you meet, you have to look at them as a mirror or energy. Do they increase your energy? Do they decrease your energy? What are they reflecting to you? So when I see people now, like there's an instinct, because you have these habits that you've been doing for so long. So it's unlearning. Unlearning is huge. Like you have to unlearn to relearn. So that's what I'm doing right now in terms of places, things, people, not attaching meaning to the story, right? Because life is neutral. And when we suffer, when we think things are good or bad or whatever it is, it's because we attach meaning to the thing. This was
Mm,
bad. This was a bad experience. I failed. That was terrible. But I could also say I failed and that was feedback that's going to allow me to win next time. So it's all the perspective that you have. So that's something I'm healing through, that I'm learning through, that, there are still days that I have to pull myself back and say, nope. If somebody's irritating me or frustrating me, then I have to look at that and say, well, what about them? What are they reflecting back to me? Trying to understand the lesson. What is this trying to teach me? And that's a hell of a place to be. You doing some work.
yeah. I always say, man, you have to stay in check mode. You have to stay checking yourself.
Oh,
You
oh,
have to
Jay.
stay checking yourself. That's it's so important to just constantly check yourself. Way before people check you, you got to check yourself.
Yeah, that's
And
a whole word right there.
when they say it to you, you be like, "Oh, I already peeped that. I already peeped that about myself. I'm working on it." You know what I mean? That's just the honest truth. Because if they tell you something about yourself that you're not aware of, you know, you might be like, "Oh, who you think you're talking to?" And it becomes a whole thing. But if you like, "Oh yeah, I understand. I could be a little rude, or I could be a little abrasive, or whatever the case is," then it's not as when they say it's not as awakening at the time. It's like, "Oh yeah, I'm aware of that. I'm working on it. Give me some grace." You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's just real. So,
Yeah, because we all works in progress. We all mistake making machines. And it's unfortunate that we look for validation from other people and people don't give their self validation. You're looking for approval from people who don't approve of their damn selves. Excuse my French. You know what I'm saying? They don't approve of themselves. So, you're looking for love from people who don't love themselves, can't give you what they don't have.
man, you might have to be my co-host. I
I
love
got
this.
you.
I
I
love this.
got
I
you.
love this. Oh man. Last one. One thing leaders should stop saying or stop doing immediately.
Ooh, stop saying or stop doing. Time is money. There's probably a lot more, but I think that's a huge misconception. Time is much more valuable than money. And people think, oh, time is money. No, time is not money, not even close. You can always make more money, but you cannot make more time. Right? So I think that that's huge, and that comes back to that whole thing we spoke about earlier about the present moment. That's why it's so valuable. That's why you have to understand what your highest and best use of your time is. You have to understand, you got to get your number. What is my number? What is the number that I like, the highest and best use of my time? What does that look like? And if it's for some of my clients, that number is 100,000 an hour. Some of my clients, it's $5,000 an hour. But whatever it is, if it's anything that's bringing you less than that, in terms of business now, we're talking about business. Because your family has no number, right? They could
Yeah.
come see
Yeah.
about you whatever they want to. But if it's anything any less than that, even if you can do it, it's not worth your time.
Mm.
You need to delegate that. And again, figure out your number. What are all the things you do? What is the thing that brings in the most income? And this is from a business owner's perspective, right? Because we're in business to make a profit. So, what is the thing that makes you the most money? And then, so yeah, you need a website. Yeah, you can build a website, but how is it's going to take you 2 days when you can pay somebody? It might take them 3 hours. So, what would you have lost in those 2 days? Sometimes the math, like numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
When you start doing the math and you understand, it took me a week to build this website. How many clients could you have seen? How many podcasts could you have put out? How many things could you have done that have generated revenue, but you were building a website when you could have just paid somebody? I don't care if it's 500, 5,000. You could have paid somebody to do that thing. Whatever level you feel like you want to pay them, there's somebody to do the job. And with AI, you can get a website in no time. Right? You can go N8N. You can go to there's so many places that you can go build a website. AI can build a website in 24 hours. So
Yeah.
you
You
have to really
unlovable
be aware.
prompted. Hmm.
Oh, you just prompt it up. You prompt it up. Like I said, we're heavy on the AI over here. Heavy, heavy on the AI. So yeah, just be mindful of that. So I think that's a huge misconception, and it's something that people say, and I think that people just parrot things sometimes. They don't really understand the meaning of it, and they don't really understand what they're saying. And then after you say it so much, you start to believe it yourself.
That
You
that
just
is a fact. That is a fact.
repetition is learning, right?
Yeah. 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 Oh man, this is the end of the lightning round. So this is words of encouragement. So I always ask people to leave a words of encouragement for the person, maybe the younger version of yourself or somebody that's struggling in a place to find their identity or to just maybe they're struggling to burn out, whatever it is, just get them a word of encouragement from your standpoint.
Mm. Word of encouragement. Everything you desire is on the other side of your fear. So whatever it is that you fear, whatever it is that the thing that's stopping you, the obstacle is the opportunity. You need to step into that fear. You need to step into it. It's not real. It's all happening in your head. The fear is the meaning you are assigning to whatever it is. Everything is neutral. And if it seems fearful, you are assigning fear to it. So don't do that. Whatever it is that you fear, that's the way to what you want, to the thing that you desire. And I would also say, in order for you to become the person that you desire to be, you have to first be very clear about who you don't want to be. So understand who you don't want to be, the things you don't want to represent, the person you don't want to show up as, right? And then start constructing and reverse engineering into the person that you choose to become. When you're clear about what you don't want to be, then you can be even more clear about who you do want to be. And when you become that person, the first thing you have to do is discover who you were created to be, and then fall in love with that person. Pillow talks with that person. Fall in love with that person. Anything anybody else brings you is just icing on the cake. It's a cherry on top. You good with or without anybody else. You have everything you need. Show up for yourself. Stand 10 toes down for yourself. Never turn down the volume on your voice. And anything you got to say it with your whole chest.
That was a word, man. Miss Deborah, I don't even want to take up too much of your time. This has been an amazing, amazing episode. Please tell the people where to find you, where to follow you, what you got going on. I know you said you working with the AI. Tell them what you got going on.
Okay, well, you can definitely go to our website, which is probably the easiest way to do that. It's rlkwealthmanagementgroup.com. Management is abbreviated, MGMT. I am the silver CEO across most platforms. I don't do a lot of social media. That's something I'm getting into now. We've been blessed to have our company to grow globally just, through minimal marketing. But now I'm about to step into that, and we are just starting our AI agency, but all of our services are available on our website. You can reach out to me via email or phone. We do free consultations. So if you just want to chop it up on a free consultation about any of the services that we can provide for you, anything that we can help you with, if you have questions, we're absolutely here for you. And don't hesitate to reach out. We are here.
Please
Thank you
reach out
so
to
much
Miss
for
Deborah,
having
man.
me.
Yes, 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 yes. We always end on a prayer, so I don't mind if you want to pray us out or I could pray us out.
It's out, but I'm always here for a good prayer. All
Okay,
right.
okay. All right. Father God, we come to you today on another episode. We just want to thank you for this opportunity that you give us to just expand your kingdom, Father God. Father God, I want to ask for safety over Deborah and her family, her friends, her loved ones, and the people that she's stewarding. Father God, we come to you just to keep expanding our territory that you want us to reach, people you want us to reach, the loved ones that we may not feel the love from us all the time. Just let them know that we're here. It was an opportunity to change lives in this world and to grow your kingdom. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen and amen. That was good. And bless you and your family and those beautiful babies and this podcast.
Yeah, I
The world
appreciate
needs
it.
some words of encouragement right now. Thank you for this. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem.